All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I actually had no idea when it was, but it's been a while since I've covered MVIS. It was around April is the last time I did this thing, and once again, it's kind of giving us a reason to think maybe it's ready to turn around and go back up. We need just a little bit more. I'll talk about that shortly, but yeah, it's at least, at a place where we have a support and maybe a potential recovery of that 8 and 20, okay? The next one, SOUN, and SOUN has been living at this $4 line. And if you go back and if you don't remember, that was the big doji day, right? And it almost seems like we're doing that another time, which is just wild, right? But SOUN's at a very, very critical point. It either will be the same rocket point up or, potentially a drop to the next line down, and we'll get to the technical shortly, right? And then I want to talk about KULR again. KULR, okay, look, it actually has been over the 50 moving average for now 3 trading days in a row, right? But there is a difference between over and breaking a line. There's a significant difference, right? So this is still all about the 50 moving average. It definitely is looking better than worse, I can say that much, right? But we need a little bit more before we start to believe, all right? So excited to talk about all this and more, but before we do go any further, and what are we gonna I forgot how the setup goes, dang. All right, we'll do it right now. Before we go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we gonna do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here and giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it. All right, so let's get into MVIS. And again, this is a stock that I do my best to not fall in love with tickers, all right? But sometimes the viewers are on whatever it might be, right? And man, I remember this rocket, like goodness, good. Like I never heard of MVIS until it was that May to, let's call it June 23 run, all right? Ever since then, it's been pretty tough. It really has. And like I said, the last time I covered this was around April. Clearly, since April and basically in May afterwards, it was all about that 162 resistance, right? And as I zoom back out, you can see that's kind of the first of this little horizontal moment. And really, that 162 is the first real volume moment. And really, the bigger volume moment is where the next kind of lines are, right? So that's where these 3 came from. It was the first real good little horizontal point. It was this, and as well as this being the IPO number, right? So let me go to the weekly. That's incorrect. Whoops, sorry about that. That is just a very far out view to 2018. That's all that was, not the IPO. I apologize. But nonetheless, that 96 that we're sitting at, it definitely hits right here. It definitely hits again in 2019, definitely hits in 2018. Like, this is a strong line. This is, right? And it definitely makes sense that it's able to, support the fall. That's what this thing does, right? You get these resistances that stop the run, and then you get these supports that hopefully stop the fall and give you a little cushion to put your feet on and jump, all right? And you can say that that's what's happened so far, all right? Obviously, MVIS has had a nice couple days. We get over the 8, we get over the 20. I think the important thing to say, though, is we never confirm either just yet. So that's a good candle over the 8 moving average. That's a doji. Doji never counts, so that's not confirmation. This is a good candle, for sure it is, but we've now taken over another line. this is no longer the confirmation of the 8. This now requires its own little confirmation, right? We've now taken the next line. Let me confirm that, right? That's not confirmation. That's not doji, but it's not a good enough candle, right? Like, I at least would kind of want something maybe similar sized. You know, I don't know, right? Like, there's no like definition in it, and like I've always said, I like moving averages because things are less objective than patterns, right? Like, someone sees a head and shoulders, someone sees a falling wedge, someone sees this, a cup and a handle. No, it's not a handle. It's like I've seen so many like back and forths with patterns. To me, moving averages, you break the line or you don't. Confirmation is kind of like a little bit more of a gut feel, maybe. I think that's where it gets a little subjective, right? But yeah, I think I would have wanted just a little bit more on that candle. Today's an interesting day. All right, so today is not a good day in my book because I never want to lose the entire yesterday, right? We go from here to here yesterday, and all of a sudden we close all the way down here. We completely eat yesterday's candle. My goal is to at least hold 50%, right? Now, two things can be said, all right? This was kind of not a significant candle, and hey, we definitely held about what, 90% of this bigger one that took the 20 moving average. We for sure held the 20 moving average itself, right? And let's be honest, I always call Friday a loser day, right? So it's I don't like eating yesterday. That's a bare bone rule I have, right? But hey, holding a moving average is probably a little more important than that. Maybe you can argue holding the important candle is a little more important than what I just called an insignificant yesterday candle, right? So I think the one thing that's a little bothersome though, this volume. Again, Friday's for sure a loser day. I just kind of always go into that, but today was significant volume. Today basically sold all the buying from what looks like Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And look, I'm not doing the math correctly. I'm kind of stacking this little guy right there. I'm not stacking that little guy right there. I don't think those three add up to this big bad boy or bad girl for my ladies out there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little worried that volume's saying, hey, all of this week's goodness, I'm going to kind of just eat it away. What does it look like on the weekly? All right. Overall, the week is actually a green candle. So I guess that's actually saying green did win versus the red. Look at that. Hey, look at that. Okay, interesting. Maybe it was a green week just because it was a positive volume. I don't know if this volume green-red reflects... No, because this was a green weekly. It was at least a 0. Give me a sec. Is there one? Oh, I got some homework to do. I wonder if this weekly reflects the total week buy sell, or if it's just, hey, this was a green one, so I'm going to make this a green total. Interesting, because again, I feel like I want to do the math right now. I'm sorry. I'm going to kind of like nerd out real quick. Okay, what's this volume? 1.3, 2.1, and 1.3 is 3.4. And then that is, let's just call it 5.4, and then 5.2. That's already a 5.8, but I guess you can't assume it's all 100%. Okay, I think I'm going to figure that out. I'm curious. Nonetheless, you heard my comment from the volume before I kind of went on my own little tangent. I'm sorry. There's good and bad when I like don't record, when I don't like script these things, right? Sorry about that. Overall, look, we want to believe that we've broken the 8, broken the 20, ready to go to the 50. That's how moving average theory works, right? I mentioned at the start of the video, I think. If I didn't, look, we've been here before, okay? I don't want to use that one. We've had moments where it looked like it was going to go, and then we can go here, but it didn't. It looked like it could and kind of made its way, but like you can see, there's never like a good confirmation like go, 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 right? It's so far been riding the 8 and the 20 down, right? And hey, MACD is close to the 0 line, but we've been there before, right? RSI's, I would say a little healthier, right? Well, is it though? That's only a 66. That's a 72. I guess I'll still call it because that's only a 40 something, right? So RSI is low. RSI does have enough room to go. The real issue, just look at this volume, right? Like we haven't had a good couple green days in a row. This one is very much a downtrend of it, right? Like those were two decent days for sure, but then just kind of nothing afterwards, right? So the goal is make me believe I've broken the 20 and I'm going to the 50. That's too high. I think that's our line. You need to break 110 because 110 is this open on June 6th. It's the high at least. It's almost a close. It's 109 on June 10. And then it is also the close of Thursday. I think we need to break 110, hopefully 111. You can take your way all the way up to maybe 120 from there. That's at least 10%. And that's actually a pretty good red to green, almost no resistance right there, right? From there, it would be lovely to go from 125 to 160. That's what? You're adding 40 cents right there, maybe another 30% move right there. So I think I'm going to set an alert for 111. I'll take 112. I don't need to be greedy. Listen, an alert is not an immediate buy notification. It's definitely a come check it out. I think the one thing that I would really want to see is about 4 million shares traded come Monday. So if I'm looking for 4 million shares in a 7-hour day, we want to be around 600,000 shares in that first hour, hopefully around 1.2-ish that second, maybe even 1.3, 1.4. Why not, right? Like, give me some more. We need volume. We're going to need volume to escape this 8 and 20 that we have not been able to escape. And again, that's over it for sure. That's not confirmation. That's not confirmation. And that's why we go back under and well below, right? Like, I don't want some little like fake out that takes me all the way down to the next line I have, right? Like, that's a scary red, green. Like, this is a fast up and down right here if we lose that, right? I don't want another little fake out that takes me here, right? We need to go and escape. We need to get there. I think it's going to be really hard to get over 162. I do. I think that's going to be a very difficult line. Clearly, the 100's about to go well under it. I imagine the 200 is going to start sloping down as well. So maybe by the time, if we get up there, the 200 will even be by there, okay? So I think for now, the immediate target is 124. If we can break 124, hopefully we get into that like 140s. I think that's a really realistic number. Nothing good will happen until we get into the 111s and over, all right? So let's take a look at the weekly. Oh, what's the 8 moving average at? Look at that. The 8 moving average on the weekly is 110. Granted, this thing is coming down, so it actually might even come down to like 107 come Monday. So maybe that'll loosen that 111 number. But yeah, I have no problem with my 112 alert. Let's see if it hits and what it does. All right. So yeah, MVIS turning it around. Let me know if there's any earnings or anything like that coming up. We literally just finished this quarter, right? So in the next couple months, we're going to hear something. It looks like, if I had to guess, this was a bad earnings moment. If I had to guess, that's a crazy gap down. Yeah, I'm gonna take that guess. So maybe if this happened in May, June, July, around August-ish is the next earnings, if I had to guess. But yeah, let me know if there's anything I should know. Otherwise, hey, I appreciate you so much. Let's come into SoundHound. Let's come into SoundHound. And SoundHound's a little bit of a complex one in my eyes, all right? And why do I say that? Look, QQQ, which is essentially the NASDAQ, has been going, I mean, up, right? Like, let me just flash the NASDAQ as well. Oh, pudgy fingers, sorry. NASDAQ's just been going up and mirrors the QQQ, right? When I look at the S&P 500, S&P 500 has just been going up, right? When I look at SPY, obviously it's going to be the same thing. They're mirrors of each other, right? When I look at SoundHound, that's not what I see. I see up, and then a real bad down, right? Oh, hey. It's worked out. My wife let my kitty in. I had no idea she's sneaky like that. My wife, not the kitty. Actually, the kitty too. it bothers me a little bit that SoundHound is going against the indices. You always hear me say, look, the indices, when they're good, everything kind of should be good, right? So we're in a smooth ocean, but kind of drowning here, and that's bothersome in my eyes, all right? We're at a very important line. I know I started the video with it, right? That $4 line has been a big moment already, twice actually, right? So it bounce or die, and it's funny to say bounce or die because obviously we have the 200 moving average, and it's actually not that far. No one wants to go from like $4 to 350. That's a little bit more than 10%. That's not a great move, right? But this $4 line feels more bounce or die than that 200. Like, I feel if we lose that too bad, we're just going to completely lose that. And you rarely hear me say that about the 200 because the 200 is supposed to be the strongest line both up and down. But oh man, that doji pop. We're doing a doji. To me, all three of the, obviously all three of those are, even these three I would call dojis. Those are so insignificant and so, let me wait for tomorrow's, that it's, oh man, this is the craziest. Volume is now kind of starting to get back to reality. All right, what does that mean to me? So previously we were down here in the 6 million range, okay? All of a sudden, NVIDIA decides to throw some poker chips into SoundHound, right? They invest in the company. I say that so loosely and so cavalier on purpose because obviously that news was big to run to 10, but realistically, it wasn't as monstrous. Don't forget that we went from 2 to 4. The news 2x'd it, and that's a realistic number. It definitely 5x'd it momentarily, and I think it's fair to say that that wasn't justified, right? But how much more can this 4 hold? Are we maybe, sorry, zoomed in too much. Are we maybe just waiting for this like 200 moving average to catch up just a little bit more, and we basically like 355, 380, call it midpoint? I don't know, right? But this is the moment where, yeah, we're either again going to make a move or we're going to fall. I think my bigger concern, and really my concern's also a thing that makes it say go up, which is a little bit like silly to say, but look, we have 4 out of the 5 lines. Oh no, these 4 out of the 5 lines pretty close to each other. And we've seen it, and like these 4 are the same 4, right? We've seen us go from the bottom of the 4 to the top of the 4 to the bottom of the 4. Now we're kind of living under, right? But maybe we kind of go back up to the 4 because when too many moving averages are too close to each other, I call it this tornado that like takes it up and down. And maybe we're just going to kind of live in this like 4 world, and we're going to wait for the next earnings or next something, right? But SoundHound needs something. That NVIDIA news was in February. I don't think I've heard anything about SoundHound since then. And really, I think the market reflects that reality as well. We've gone from pushing 300, 200, 100 million to kind of trying to maybe get like 10 million-ish. Yeah, 8 point something yesterday, 7.9 the day before, 9 the day before, 10.1, right? Like, we're now kind of going from, geez, I mean, we've given up a lot. We've given up well more than I will call 100 the normal peak. We basically were in that 100K for most of those volume pops. We're now down to, like I said, the 10. We've given up 90% of the volume. We need something to bring it back, but hey, that 10 world that we're living in, it's actually better than what it was in that 6, right? We don't want it to go any worse, and that's where things can go. So I wonder if I rambled too much on that. I hope I didn't. Goodness, let me know if I did. You can definitely, you can give me a little paddle if I need one. But those were my SoundHound thoughts. I don't need to look at the weekly, right? Like, it is actually all about this line. I think the 200 is going to catch up to it, and that's going to be our bounce or die point. So let me know if you disagree. Let me know if there's any like news or anything that we're hoping, expecting, etc., etc. Let's end it with KULR. This is the last one I want to talk about on this video. And look, we're watching KULR on the Discord, and I've talked about it. I mean, when I do this search, KULR, there are almost 500 results. Look, someone actually just asked me, did I buy a bag of it, right? Like, it's close. It's getting harder to ignore. Point 4 is the money line, and look at us. We're living in that point 4, right? So this thing's getting close, but I need just a little bit more, and that's basically what I'm going to talk about on this one, all right? So real quick, hey, if you can subscribe, if you can share, oh, it does wonders with the algorithms, all right? So why didn't I make the move on yesterday? And yesterday was a good day, right? There was moments where we got a high of 44 cents, as you see right there. We actually do close over my money line. This thing closed at 42 cents yesterday. Like what was it? So to me, two things were missing. Number one was volume. Okay, when I look at this thing, volume was 3.8 million. Our average 50 was 4.1. Yo, it was close. It was close, but my joke with close is if you're standing outside in a blizzard, you are close to warm, but you are freezing and you're about to lose a toe. You know what I mean? So close is okay sometimes. It really isn't when you're talking about hard-earned money, right? I'm always here to make sure I set just a little bit higher of a criteria so that I hopefully don't lose more than I need to, right? But yesterday was close. Yesterday there was moments that it flashed it, but it just wasn't there, okay? Today's a little bit of an interesting one, and I don't know if you watched the beginning of it, but the same thoughts were with MVIS. MVIS lost too much of yesterday, all right? When I look at KULR, I'm a little concerned that today lost a little too much. So what does that mean? Look, yesterday we opened at 0.4. Today we're basically at 0.4. And I kind of wish I had more decimals, but it kind of looks like we ate all of yesterday. Just like I said with MVIS though, look, we actually held the important moving average, right? Looking at KULR, we at least held the important moving average. We are still, and I'm zooming in, I can see the black in between that red and red, right? We are still physically over the 50. Hey, we're still inside the house, not outside the blizzard on that side of the coin, right? So it's this thing where you have all this information, you kind of have to pick what's the most important in this or that. I think all that this is really doing is justifying, hey, maybe just wait for 47. Maybe just wait for like 45-ish, right? That's kind of half of this guy. That's the top of that guy. I'll even do that. Let's put it right there. Top of that guy. And when I say that guy, just in case you're not looking at the screen, it's the top of the 419 candle, and roughly speaking, it's half of the 5-9 candle. All right, so yeah, and again, we don't want an inner-day push of that unless it looks strong, and you're looking at the hourly and the 15, and it's saying go, 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 right? But right now, we need just a little bit more to believe, because what does happen, you're at the top of all the moving averages, you come down to the bottom of all the moving averages, you go to the top of the moving averages, you might end up coming back down. That's what happens when you have too many lines, and really you need a good, the easiest example that I always remember, and look, obviously it's at 25 now, okay, but there was a moment, I'm going to zoom into it, give me a sec, let's go, let's go there, and then let's go. And again, hindsight's 2020, trust me, right? But there were moments when it looked like it should have broken and it didn't. Looked like it should have broken with confirmation, but it just gets sucked back in because all the moving averages are too tight. And it literally does this for months and months and months and months, just going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and just tighter and tighter. And it's just this frustrating little like, you know what I mean? That's potentially what we have going on. We are literally, all five are starting to get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And believe me, just as much as I know Palantir is the one that went up, HUSA, HUSA, all right, HUSA had the exact same thing. all 5 lines, all 5 lines. I'll zoom in too. You know I will. So where is it? This one. Tighter and tighter, tighter and tighter, tighter and tighter, tighter and tighter. Slips and falls, slips and falls, slips and falls, right? So there is always a both sides of it. And again, this is where you got to play your own risk reward, right? But oh man, I would wait to make sure you believe in, hey, you know what, as I'm looking at it, man, don't get greedy. Let's just wait for that 47. Why not? Green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, red. Like that's a beautiful channel all the way to 70. If that all the way wasn't that high, I would say, okay, let's pocket a couple extra pennies. I think we wait for 47. I think that line was there for a good reason. Sometimes you just need just a little bit more, even though it looks like you shouldn't, right? When all the lines are that close, that's a because look, what also happens is, oh, I'm seeing all these golden crosses. The 20 golden cross the 100 right there. That 8 obviously is about to golden cross the 50, isn't it, right? Like I see them all. But, man, the lines are just too tight and you get these like little fake signals, right? Set a little higher criteria and good things will happen generally, all right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Hey, thank you so much.